Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today for our joint webinar with Criteo and Shopify Plus. Today, we'll be talking about targeting and retargeting and some of the advertising strategies to help grow your e-commerce business. As an introduction, my name is Lucy Rogers. I am the Director of Global Partnerships at Criteo, and I will be hosting and moderating our session here today. So to kick things off, just a couple of logistical items before we get started. We are using GoToWebinar, as you are well aware, and there are a lot of people on this call, so we have the attendees on mute. If you have any questions or technical difficulties during the webinar, please feel free to utilize the question panel on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and we will be able to assist you right away. Also to note, there will be a Q&A session at the end, and our panelists are willing to answer any and everything that we've discussed today. So throughout the presentation, if anything comes up, just start typing in your message and we will compile those questions at the end. So let's go ahead and get started and kick things off. Today, we have two very exciting guests with us from Criteo and from Shopify Plus. As an introduction, on the Criteo side, we have Shobha Nikam, and she is our Platinum Client Partner at Criteo, and she is joined today by Aaron Orendorf, who is the Editor-in-Chief at Shopify Plus. Thank you guys both for joining us today. So we have an action-packed agenda. To start, Shobha is going to kick things off and walk us through what some of the challenges are that brands are facing today when it comes to converting shoppers and bringing them back to a website. And then she'll get into a little bit more detail around dynamic retargeting and product recommendation and the use of personalization to bring customers back. And then after that, I'll walk you through, or she will walk you through, how you can reach new customers before we take a look behind the scenes to learn more about our technology and where it gets its power from. And then at that point, we will turn things over to Aaron, and he will help us to discover how to increase average order value during the holiday season. And then, as promised, there will be a Q&A at the end. So that is our agenda for the day. Interestingly enough, Shobha, this session actually came about in response to several requests that we've had from merchants who have been struggling with shopping cart conversions and looking for some strategies and some insights into how they can tackle these challenges. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Shobha, and can you give us some more insights into what the industry is dealing with here?
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Lucy, for that introduction. And I want to extend a very personal thank you to all of our attendees today. We know you're very busy, and we very much appreciate you spending your afternoon with us, or morning if you're on the West Coast. So what is the current landscape of today? Let's see if I can navigate here. So what's the current landscape of today? I think there are two fundamental sort of problems that we'd like to solve for starting out in this presentation. So the first situation that we want to take a look at is abandoned cart rate. So of the customers who put something into their cart, perhaps they leave their cart. I don't know, when my boss comes by, I always want to exit out of my cart, so that could be one reason why. But on average, 69% of carts are in fact abandoned, which presents a very large issue for brands and retailers, anybody with an e-commerce site. How do you close the deal? You know you have an active shopper that's very invested into your product or your brand or your suite of offerings. How do you close that deal? I think an even larger looming issue is 96% of website visitors leave the site without buying anything. So of 100 people that touch your website, only 4% will actually close the deal. Obviously, brands and retailers are going after customer lifetime value, and they want to repeatedly show value to their customers. And so how do you close that deal? So not just awareness is important, but closing the deal is, we're all in the game of retail. And so these are two areas we'd like to address today. How does dynamic retargeting work to bring back customers? Well, dynamic retargeting, particularly within the context of Criteo, does several things. So number one, we have a very deep understanding of our site visitors. We collect so much data on when the customer has gone to the site, what products are they looking at, what's the depth, the recency and frequency of engagement of each individual shopper as they're browsing the web. Imagine having really during the holiday season going to 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 different sites. We would capture all that information and be able to basically track a journey or a user flow as they're doing some comparison shopping. Similarly, you want to be consistent in your cross-device identity, meaning if I'm looking at Macy's.com on my phone and then I go to Macy's.com on my web, you want to work with a partner that's going to be able to match or unify the particular shopper across their browsing experiences. And then thirdly, you definitely want to work with a partner who could do all of that at scale. I think one other interesting topic that comes up quite a bit in the retargeting space is dynamic versus static ads. Static ads are a little bit more brand focused. They tend to work for some more upper funnel tactics. So a great use case of that would be somebody hasn't been to your site in maybe 3 to 6 months, but you want to re-engage them, and it's ideal time to start doing that or start thinking about that tactic because we are entering upon Q4 holiday season. And so right now in early Q4, so the October, early November periods is where you want to start reminding your former customers or site visitors of your brand. So you might want to use something that's a bit more static, brand focused, has a nicer look and feel to it. There's also dynamic retargeting ads that are far more product focused. So the interesting thing about this is they can be personalized for each individual based on their shopping behavior. So let's say I look at 3 pairs of shoes. Criteo is going to want to show me obviously that some of the shoes that I've looked at plus a mix of some other ones. And I think we actually have a very nice slide to dive into that. We're actually going to go right into how our product recommendations work. And so Criteo actually does a very nice job of taking a mix of the products that you've looked at, plus we combine that with some other products to create some beautiful dynamic ads. And so the dynamic ads have a combination of layouts, formats, organization of the different ad elements like the logo zone, the CTA, which is right here, buy now, and then obviously the mix shift of the products that you have been looking at. And so the way that Criteo does this is we basically take a look at products that you've looked at, and then we score them against products that are similar. So in this case, we've got a brown boot. So for all the people who've looked at a brown boot, let's say 100 people, we look at the next 2, 3, 4, 5 products that those 100 people looked at. Now we like to keep the ad units fresh from a dynamic ad unit perspective. Oh, sorry, I think I accidentally shot ahead there. I'm going to come right back and sit on this slide for a second. So we don't want to just show similar products. We also want to pepper in some more hot items or best of site items. So we would add in some of the most viewed or the most bought. We would rank all of them and obviously score them based on the original product that you've looked at to then come out with a beautiful ad that's showing you some of the products that you looked at, but also hinting at some other products that you may like. We actually see some very strong performance from our recommendation engine that leads customers to not only re-engage with the product that they didn't close the deal on, but actually lead them to some incremental purchases that they might not have been originally considering. And so we did this for La Redoute, which is a retailer in France, and the result was 10% positive, so growth of 10% of customer conversion. at half the cost of sale. And then obviously 28% of sales came from new product discovery. So what that means is we showed them a banner full of products, some they've looked at, some we recommended, and they clicked. 28% of the sales resulted from a click on a product they had not previously viewed. So that's a very strong case study to show the value of one of the Criteo secret sauces, which is the recommendation engine. So all of what we've talked about just now is in relation to all of your existing customers or people who have touched your website, so they have some sort of brand awareness. I think what's equally as important to marketers and brand marketers and retailers is, how do you get new customers? How do you sort of climb higher up the funnel and create more brand awareness for your particular needs? 61% of global marketers actually employ paid display acquisition techniques to attract new customers. So 2/3 of your friends in the marketing space are actually engaging in a upper funnel tactic. And then of those individuals, the allocation of the digital budgets on acquisition techniques is 30%. So 30% of the global budgets are being spent on acquisition techniques. And lastly, 2/3 of global marketers feel that identifying shoppers truly interested in their products is challenging. So what that indicates to me, and hopefully to you as well, is spray and pray is a thing of the past. You actually want some sort of intent behavior to make sure that if you're selling shoes, you're really going after a shoe shopper. And if you're selling shoes, you might want to come after me, by the way. So the way that Criteo's performance-based acquisition works is we have an incredible pool, a data collective where that's spanning our advertisers and publisher network to basically aggregate all of the best attributes of each individual shopper so that anybody participating in the collective can take advantage of that. We target highly relevant shoppers using historic shopping and browsing events. So again, we are able to flag whether that shopper is particularly interested in apparel or travel or beauty items. And then we're able to then target these new customers, true new customers to your site or your brand with user-centric personalized product recommendations. So it's a very unique mix of awareness plus targeted messaging that may or may not have existed in this capacity before. And lastly, we want to maximize your ROI with proven performance and a CPA based buying mechanism. So obviously we're there to close the deal, so we want to attract new customers that actually perform an action that you define. And so how does it work? Let's put this in layman's terms a little bit. Julie's a fashion shopper and she's interested in dresses and shoes. So she's constantly on the web looking at multiple different websites and multiple different .coms or retailers, looking for new products and latest trends in the fashion space. Criteo then identifies Julie as a relevant target, and we can serve her an ad for a website she has not previously been to before. Julie engages in your website, starts to browse around, and hopefully closes the deal and buys a new dress from your site. So again, another fantastic aggregated sort of summary of what we've been able to do with a UK leading retailer. We added 4 times the number of orders. We added 62% to their bottom line when it comes to new customer rate, which is incredible growth. And then we reduced their CPO by 70%. So for New Look, we were able to drive targeted fashion customers back to, or not even back to, just to the website. So new fashion customers back to the site, and able to obviously close the deal and help them purchase. Behind the scenes. So how does all of this happen? How does Criteo combine dynamic retargeting, all of our underlying assets, to then sort of forge ahead into new territory, the acquisition space? Criteo is a very interesting sort of center point to a lot of different other channels within the ad tech space or the MarTech space. We see 1.4 billion active shoppers monthly, and we are collecting all of the data points that these shoppers enact on our brands or our retailers' website. So as you can see, we have 17,000 plus retailers and commerce sites that we are connected with. We work with over 1,000 brands. We have thousands of premium publishers, and we connect all of that from a relevancy standpoint to make sure that we're collecting the right data elements to target the shoppers for our retailers and brands to then close the loop for the sales metrics. And so we drive $29 billion of annual post-click sales every single year for our retailer and our brand partners. So to summarize, I think the three key areas to Criteo retargeting ads and what really could drive value for you as you think about all of your Q4 holiday tactics is you want to work with a partner that has a high level of value when it comes to predictive bidding. Make sure that your budget is being allocated very efficiently across each shopper. Not every shopper has the same level of engagement with each site, and you want somebody who can differentiate those levels. And make sure you get the right ad inventory for each shopper and the ad format. Excuse me. Secondly, you want to make sure that you are delivering top-notch product recommendations. Serve the right products to the right shoppers at the right time, and make sure you're personalizing each experience for the individual user, not only to remind them of what they might have been engaged in, but to recommend things that they might like based on true AI or data-driven processes. And lastly, wrap it all up with the beautiful kinetic design. Make sure that each design is tailored to the customer to ensure the highest levels of conversion, and make sure that your ad units are obviously adhering to your brand standards. And there you go. I'm actually going to, at this point, turn it over to my friend, Erin, to take it over from here.
Great, thanks, Shobha. Before we hand it over to Erin, I just want to say that was very interesting, to hear about how personalized ads can really help to solve the problems of shopping cart abandonment and even increasing conversions. Interestingly enough, you finished off on a note about optimizing conversions and driving optimal results, which is a good segue into our next section with Erin. So far we've been talking about how to bring people to a website or bring them back to a website. But now I think it would be a good opportunity for us to take a closer look into the actual on-site optimization. So Erin, I'm going to pass it over to you, and can you take us through some strategies and ways to increase average order value and optimize conversions during the upcoming holiday season?
I would love to, and what a show to follow. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my clicking, so I'm going to do this old school and say, next slide. Hopefully somebody can jump on top of that. Beautiful. Look at that. Well, I'm delighted to be here today. I am Erin Orndorff, the editor-in-chief at Shopify Plus. That's a fancy way of saying I oversee and help lead all things written content at Shopify Plus. My goal today is to work through some big picture data on holiday e-commerce, particularly Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because that's the barrel we're all staring down. And then niche into some tactics, all surrounding average order value, AOV, and a little bit of conversion rate optimization, CRO, especially at the checkout level and on mobile. Now, to start, click. Spoiler alert. People buy more over the holidays. Shocker, right? I know. I was tempted to title this slide, along with the next few, What You Already Know, Except Only Better and a Whole Lot Worse. Here's what I mean by better. Compiled data from Adobe Digital Insights, internet retailers show two-digit billion-dollar growth for November through December in US e-commerce spending alone. Hefty jumps year over year, including a 15.5% year over year projected growth rate for 2018. Now, there are plenty of other big numbers we could throw around to substantiate the better side of things, but click, it's also a whole lot worse. So yes, revenue increases. Offsite conversion rate, ad and email click-through, increases. On-site conversion rate, add to cart and purchase, also increases. However, a rising e-commerce tide does not necessarily lift all ships or stores. So ad spend increases dramatically. Average order value increases, if you can call it that, and customer retention decreases. I'm going to camp out on this slide for just a second. At Shopify Plus, we just completed research on our first large-scale e-commerce holiday study. To gather data, we isolated and reached out to businesses on Shopify Plus operating at or above 10 million in annual revenue. Leaders in those businesses identified Facebook ads as the single most effective cold traffic acquisition channel for the holidays, followed closely by paid search and Instagram advertising. Now, for existing or returning customers, naturally email was the #1 driver, followed then by Facebook and Instagram retargeting. At the same time, rising ad spend was the #1 concern among those same e-commerce leaders, with 80.4% of respondents saying that they were either concerned or very concerned, even beating out other usual suspects like site reliability, inventory management, and customer service. Now, last year, Common Thread Collective tracked 6.8 million in Facebook ad spend among a select group of clients during Q4. What they found was this: click. Cost per click, and that was a scripted click, not a move forward click. Cost per click peaks, again, shocker, spoiler, at $1.68 on Black Friday, compared to retail and e-commerce's average cost per click, which is the rest of the year around 70 cents. Now, keep that number in mind while we examine AOV. We also crunched the numbers on multiple studies from Statista, ComScore, eMarketer, and found that, click, the mean AOV for US e-commerce is $82.80. That's indicated by the gray area on this chart. I want you to notice two things. First, click. In 2016, Q4 was above the mean. In 2017, Q4 was below. And the other thing is, in both 2016 and 2017, Q4 AOV decreased compared to Q3. Expanding our scope, click, worldwide, we get a higher AOV of $122.90. But again, we've got one Q4 that is above the mean and one that's below. Now, I'm terrible at math. I'm a words person. So let me just give you the pre-calculated so what of all of this. Click. Q4 AOV in the US is $84. That is a 1.45% increase above the overall mean. Click. Q4 worldwide is $122.50, a measly 0.24% increase above the overall mean. This is what I meant by AOV increases, if you can call it that. Meanwhile, Q4 CPC on Facebook for Black Friday is $1.68, a whopping 140% increase above the norm. Put more bluntly, if all you do is what the rest of the industry does, you can expect it to cost you 140% more to even get clicked on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, with nothing more than at best a 1.45% increase in AOV. Now that kind of ROAS, return on ad spend, can kill your holiday profitability, even in the face of selling more overall. What is an online business to do? Click. The key is to build your holiday strategy with AOV front and center, from your ads to your storefronts to your product pages to your checkout. In fact, that order, ads, storefront, pages, checkout, is exactly the order we're going to follow as we turn from the bad news to inspiration. That inspiration is going to come in the form of 5 concrete examples. I'm going to go through these a little bit fast, but don't worry, you can get the full recording of this to go back and steal to your holiday heart content later. Inspiration number 1, click. Melon Brand. Melon Brand created a gift card based on spending threshold offer that they front-loaded in their Black Friday, Cyber Monday ad copy. Spend $100, get $50. In this case, they saw an 8.24% return on ad spend. Not bad. Click. Number 2, Diff Eyewear. Now, Diff created a tiered percent off based on number of products. So buy 1, get 30%, buy 2, get 40%, buy 3, get 50%. Again, focused on AOV. Here we see a 7.54% return on ad spend and a 17% increase in AOV. Nice. Inspiration number 3, Axe Bat. Axe Bat, and don't get ahead of me, hide that, go back. Okay, good. Axe Bat rarely discounts. They put together an ad and landing page combination with their biggest discounts on their highest priced bats, some of which MSRP at $300 more than their lowest end models in the same category. They also combined this with multi-bat bundles. So bundled products with percentage off leading from the ad to a custom Black Friday landing page, complete with a countdown timer leading directly to those bundles. That combination, along with both cold and retargeted ads, led to, click, here's the big reveal, 11.49% return on ad spend, an 18% increase in AOV despite the sale, and a 193% increase in conversion rate. Now we're cooking. Inspiration number 4, Brooklyn. We did some extensive testing on our Black Friday deal structure. Rich Fulop, CEO of Brooklyn, told us when we were researching a recent piece on Shopify Plus. In order to optimize AOV and CVR, another acronym for CRO, to ensure we ended up on target. This meant testing dollar-based deals versus percent-based deals. We've seen those already at different levels in order to find the winning combination to maximize ROI. This led them to, click, a free gifts plus tiered discounts based on cart value strategy. Now, on site, here's what this looked like. Click. 1, they added an on-site promotion across the board, and when anyone crossed over the $35 initial threshold, they were served up a pop-up offering them one of 4 choices for a free candle, a free gift. Click. Rebecca Minkoff did something very similar over BFCM last year, operating this at the cart level, so that when someone added or removed an item from their cart based on the spending threshold, that free gift was automatically populated. Click. Then came the dollar off tier. From right to left, spend $250, get $50, spend $500, get $100, spend $800, get $200. Now again, click. All of this took place at the cart level. So there was universal advertising on site for these promotions, but nobody had to enter a code or do any of the math themselves. Free shipping was calculated. The discounts were added as people added or removed products based on those spending thresholds. And notice this as well. There was automatic math one more time to nudge people toward the next spending threshold by calculating exactly how much, as well as suggested products to get them there. Inspiration number 5, click. And this could be my favorite. Most online business put their best offers front and center to make buying easy. Click. So, what if you did the opposite and made buying hard? That's what our final inspiration did. Click. Last year, 100% Pure created Black Friday and then Cyber Monday and then additional beauty deals throughout the holidays, all built around this spending threshold of $45. Click. You could view the product collections, you could click inside the products, you could read user-generated content and get reviews on all of these products. The only thing you couldn't do with products that were in some cases up to 75% off their original price was buy them. That happened only when you crossed the threshold again at the cart level. Click. This is absolutely ingenious. Whenever somebody crossed the threshold, and again, they were given reminders and incentives of exactly how much they needed to get there, inside the cart, a URL was unlocked so they could finally purchase those heavily discounted items. Now, they ran a whole bunch of different versions of this throughout the holiday, so it didn't get stale as far as the actual items that they offered. Okay, let's put this all together. Click. AOV, AOV, AOV. 1, optimize for AOV from the jump, from your ads to your email to on-site marketing. Click. 2, create holiday exclusive product bundles, meaning collections that are placed at discounts and extra credit for landing pages rather than just collection or product pages that are exclusively created for your different events. Click. 3, experiment with spending thresholds. Shopify scripts were used for all the ones that I've showed you so far. Things like click, free gifts, gift cards, and pro tip on the gift cards, I like this one. Post-date your gift cards so that if someone buys in November, they have to come back in December. If they buy in December, they have to come back in January. This helps at least alleviate some of the retention issues we talked about very, very early on. 3, tiered percent off versus dollar off. And then 4, that extra special, unlock extra special deals, all at the cart level. Now, one last thing. Yeah, go ahead. One last thing. Click. Mobile browsing does not equal mobile buying. This is one of those perennial struggles in e-commerce. It was over a year ago that mobile browsing exceeded desktop browsing, but buying has yet to come up. So pre-holiday, I want to suggest that you test out 2 Shopify-specific options for impulse buyers in particular that can dramatically improve conversion rates on mobile. Click. The first is Shopify Pay. Now, Shopify Pay is essentially a 2-factor authentication driven by someone's email address that either recognizes them because they purchased from your store again, or if they purchased from any of the hundreds of thousands of Shopify stores that have Shopify Pay enabled. They'll get a simple text with a validation code, and all of their information is automatically entered. Now, last Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Shopify Pay helped over 400,000 online buyers check out 3 times faster than traditional checkouts. Shopify Plus Merchant Peel saw their conversion rate double last holiday after implementing it. Click. Special hack number 2, dynamic checkout. This is a fairly new addition to the Shopify and Shopify Plus repertoire. This came out post the big Unite conference earlier this year. Dynamic checkout enables you to add buy now buttons immediately below add to cart. Now, the first time somebody clicks that, they'll be prompted to either pay through PayPal, Apple Pay, Amazon Pay, or Shopify Pay. The genius thing here is that as soon as a customer makes that selection once, Shopify's backend remembers their choice and automatically presents that choice on all future visits. Again, what we're talking about here is shortening the mobile funnel, particularly for impulse buyers and particularly over the holidays. Click. Now, if you want to go back and check out any of those inspirational examples I mentioned, you'll be getting this in email form very soon. This has been all about, on my end, holiday AOV and a little bit of conversion rate optimization. So I'm going to hand it back over to our esteemed host.
Thank you so much, Aaron. That was really, really insightful and great to see a lot of the holiday data as we sort of enter into the Black Friday, Cyber Monday season. Your examples were really intriguing as well. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. As promised, we are going to move into our Q&A session now. Just a reminder, you are on mute, so if you do have any questions, go ahead and type them into the question box on the right-hand side, and we'll answer the questions as they are coming in. We actually have already gotten a couple questions throughout the presentation, so I'd like to kick things off with those. Aaron, this one is for you. It came in, and I think it's a great one regarding the beginning part of your presentation. So can you talk a little bit more to us about why you think there is such a large difference in the AOV in the US versus worldwide?
This one stumped me. I'll just level with you and be honest. I can't think of a good justifiable reason, except that when it comes to big numbers like this, my main goal is to try as best I can to triangulate or verify data, especially data trends, and see if those hold true across these, big repositories. I mean, like Statista is one of my favorites to go to. They aggregate data from all over the place. eMarketer is one as well. And so what I try to do in the content my team creates, that I create, and what I try to talk to merchants about is, right, never one source of truth, always triangulate or validate data, and then just look for those trends. And that's what's so interesting to me about the AOV, is that even though there's a huge difference between the US and worldwide, the trends in AOV, the percentages, hold true, and both reveal some pretty startling stuff about AOV during Q4.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Aaron. We had a question come in for Shobha as well, so I'm going to read this one for everyone. As a business whose profitability relies on physical traffic to my locations, how do I best utilize retargeting to get people into my store? And how do I turn around and track to make sure that my campaigns are performing well? So Shobha, I will pass that over to you.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Yes, that's actually a very good question. We have a lot of what we call omni-channel partners that we work with. So Macy's.com, who I referenced earlier, is a great example. They have physical stores and they have an online e-commerce site as well. So we have partnerships with companies such as LiveRamp, where basically what happens is we work with LiveRamp and with our retail and brand partners to get the offline feeds, and we are able to then ingest at a shopper level. So let's say Lucy has been browsed for some shoes online, but she went in store, and we have a partnership with LiveRamp and that retailer. We can then flag Lucy as an offline shopper. And so that's one of our data elements that we actually decision on in our engine to say, oh, we know this customer is online only, online plus offline, offline only. So it's important to make sure that whoever you work with has that capability of basically targeting and decisioning on shoppers based on their multifaceted journey.
Great, thanks Shobha, and also thank you to all the attendees. We are having quite a few questions come in, so this is great. The next one is for Erin. Erin, how can we have the automatic discount added to cart, and how can we have a free product based on spend?
So all the examples that I showed, especially at the cart level, are run through Shopify scripts. If you simply Google Shopify scripts checkout, the first two results you'll get are one for the Shopify Scripts API reference on the Shopify Help Center. And the second one, or maybe the first one, will simply say e-commerce checkout, 15 optimizations. So go to Google, plug that in, go to the e-commerce checkout 15 optimizations page. And there we've got 15 optimizations, including some of the examples I just talked about, a ton more. And what our lovely developers have done is they literally created GitHub code that you can essentially plug and play and then adjust inside your Shopify store to do exactly what I talked about today. So it's all there waiting for you. Now, Shopify Scripts does require a bit more technical savvy. So that is a fantastic starting point, but depending on your level of expertise, it's one of those things you might want to have adult supervision or someone technical on your team look over your shoulder as you do that. But that article is a wealth of options with those GitHub codes that you can plug and play almost automatically.
Great, thanks Erin very much. Next one's for Shobha. Shobha, this question came in, it says, we are a small business and new to retargeting. What is the number one thing that you would recommend that we focus on for this year's holiday season? It's a great question.
I would ask, actually, if you're currently employed with a retargeting partner currently, because if not, I think building the cookie pool and data on the cookie pool is critical and has to be done ahead of time. So I think what I have found when I've worked with marketing partners all over the Americas is people tend to act more strongly on key days, but it's really what you do leading up to the key days that matter the most. So all of your, make sure to appropriately plan your budgets and your activities to ensure that if the partner that you're working with needs time to ramp up and learn on a cookie pool, that all of those things should be in play now.
Great. Okay, thank you, Shobha. Next question is up for Erin. Erin, how do you get the shopping cart functionality that you showed with how many dollars you were away from the next deal, free shipping, etc.?
So that little bit is a combination of Shopify scripts and the liquid checkout. So if you're on Shopify, you have access to really customize the heck out of your checkout and shopping cart experience. Now, that being said, these are very custom created examples run by the same logic as something simple like a Shopify script. But for each of these, that custom coding requires, this is where it really gets into sort of the deep end of, well, maybe not deep end, but definitely deeper than someone like myself would be willing to wander. If you're inside the Shopify Plus Facebook community, there are some outstanding people in there who are incredibly helpful. The gentleman that actually wrote the Shopify scripts post that I mentioned earlier, Gavin, he runs a plugin called Playwright. Gavin is not only responsible for some of the coolest implementations I've seen, but his agency, Playwright, his program, the app, Playwright, can help facilitate a lot of these. And I would just really encourage reaching out to probably a solutions partner or vetting that question with the Shopify Plus community group on Facebook. Super helpful there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Erin. The next question is for Shobha. Shobha, how do you think machine learning is going to influence retail in the next couple of years?
I think retail is going to shift more and more to online. And so having a partner that understands how to use machine learning and AI to process, so first of all, to collect, and second of all, to process all of the increasingly like large and growing volumes of data is going to be more and more important. I think the previous question about offline shoppers also plays into that a little bit. So as you connect the shopper across devices, across channels, across online and offline, there's more and more data elements that clients, our clients are wanting to use. And in fact, it's probably a good place to even plug potential CDP or customer data platform to make sure that on a shopper level, you're collecting all the right data elements to then feed into any marketing partner. So I think that it's only going to grow over time. We've only seen, I've been in this business for 5 years, and I've seen digital budgets grow every single year. I think Aaron had a very nice slide at the beginning of his presentation to indicate that 2018 will see double-digit growth for Q4. So as we grow in data, we're going to need more machine learning and more AI power to decipher what are the appropriate data elements and also be able to process them at scale.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so it looks like we have about time for one last question, and then we will wrap things up. So Aaron, the last question is going to you. This one came in and it was, what are some quick tips that you can share about using Facebook ads during Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
Oh, great question. Yes. So I would say 2 things to pregame, and then I will defer to Shobha, who's the real expert when it comes to these sort of things. The 2 tips for pregaming are, number 1, load up, press publish, get all of your ads pre-approved, and then pause them prior to Black Friday, week of Cyber Monday. The last thing you want to be doing is trying to actually load everything up the day of or the night before and get hit with a delay or something that won't actually get approved. So preload all of those. Also on the pre-front, this is interesting. I would suggest in front of Black Friday, running simply engagement ads for cold traffic. So not buy now, buy here, click through type ads, just ads aimed at your best guess at who your audience is, or particularly widening your audience or a lookalike audience to get your name in front of possible shoppers, your brand, your products, your ethos, in just a friendly awareness sort of way. And then create a separate audience for Black Friday and Cyber Monday based on the people that engaged with those ads across social. This way you're shortening the funnel. You're not saying I'm expecting them to come in all at once from first impression to purchase on the day of the event, but you're pre-gaming and then creating a far less expensive audience that is already inclined to engage. As far as the other tips, gosh, I would love to hear what Shobha has to say.
Thanks so much, Aaron. I would agree that getting your campaigns up and running ahead of time are absolutely key to running, making sure that you are locked and loaded with the right partner who has been collecting data all over your shoppers for that period of time. I think also understanding what your budget allocations will be for that day versus the previous days are very important. So like I said, if only 40% of your sales for Q4 are coming from those days, then perhaps you should think about allocating at a proportional rate for those spend levels.
Great, that was a good ending question. Thank you both for your feedback. That was really, really great. And thanks to everyone who has been staying with us all the way to the end of this webinar. We really hope that you found this insightful and you gained a lot of knowledge from both of our speakers here today. As Aaron mentioned, we have recorded this webinar, and so everyone within the next 7 days will get an email with the recording as well as some follow-up resources. So please be on the lookout for that. And if you are a Shopify Plus customer and you would like to know more about our partnership and our integration with Criteo and Shopify Plus, you can reach out to your Shopify MSM for more information and details. And again, thank you so much for our speakers, Shobha and Aaron. It was really, really great having you both on the call today. And everybody else, thank you for staying with us and have a lovely day. Thanks again, everyone.